From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. First, the headlines. U.S. appoints envoy for Afghan women, girls, and human rights. 9 Serbs indicted for killing around 100 Muslims during Bosnian war. U.S. court finds Ghislaine Maxwell guilty in sex trafficking case. Kansas Muslim woman files lawsuit for removing hijab. Toronto surgeon develops AI prototype to mimic surgeons. New report says Islamophobia in Europe has worsened in 2020. And our top story tonight. The U.S. on Wednesday appointed former State Department official Rina Amiri special envoy for Afghan women, girls, and human rights. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also appointed Stephanie Foster as a senior advisor for women and girls issues within the State Department's Coordinator for Afghan Relocation Efforts team. Blinken called Amiri and Foster two highly qualified and respected leaders who will advance the State Department's vital work to support Afghan women, girls, and human rights. Amiri served as the State Department under former President Barack Obama. In late August, the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan after a 20-year-old military and diplomatic presence. A Bosnian war crimes prosecutor has indicted 9 Bosnian Serbs for the killing of close to 100 Bosnian Muslims during the devastating civil war in the country 3 decades ago. The murders included those of 7 entire families in the summer of 1992, according to a statement from the prosecutor's office on Wednesday. Bosnians are still searching for people who are missing and seeking justice against the suspected perpetrators. The 9 men are former commanders of the Bosnian Serb wartime army. They're accused of killing civilians from the area around the southeastern Bosnian town Nevesinje, including dozens of women, elderly people, and small children. Bosnia's state court will need to confirm the indictment for the case to proceed. Former high society fixture Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty in a U.S. court Wednesday of sex trafficking. She was accused of recruiting girls as young as 14 to travel to American millionaire Jeffrey Epstein's estates in New York, Florida, and New Mexico. There, the girls were sexually abused by Epstein and his friends. The 60-year-old Maxwell could face up to 70 years in prison. The court heard from about 30 witnesses over a 3-week period. A Kansas City gun range is facing a federal lawsuit for allegedly refusing to let a Muslim woman use the range unless she removed her hijab, according to the court filing. The document alleges that Rania Barakat and her husband were denied service at the Frontier Justice gun range last year. Barakat was wearing a hijab, and the range's policy banned headwear with the exception of front-facing baseball caps. The complaint filed by CARE and Baldwin and Vernon Law stated the defendants denied Muslims who wear hijab entry based on violations of their dress code policy. This is while allowing others who wear headgear covering the neck and head access and services. China has appointed the governor of coastal Guangdong province as the new Communist Party secretary of occupied East Turkestan. Ma Xingrui replaced Chen Quanguo, who is considered the architect of the brutal crackdown on Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. Quanguo established the network of detention camps where 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities are held since 2017. He has denied widely documented and credible reports of abuse in the camps. Last year, Quanguo became the highest-ranking Chinese official to be sanctioned by the U.S. government. U.S. and several European countries have declared China's actions in the region genocide and crimes against humanity. Anti-government rebels from Ethiopia's Tigray region are drawing on early Islamic history in an Arabic language propaganda push to rally solidarity amongst Muslims. Thousands of people have been killed since the conflict erupted last year between the government Addis Ababa and its foes, the rebel Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, or the TPLF. The largely Christian Tigrayan people account for less than 6% of Ethiopia's 110 million people. Amongst Tigray's 5% Muslim minority, Tigrayan speakers writing in Arabic have sought to remind people about the role the region played as one of the first Islamic settlements and a refuge for the Muslim community. But while their references may be drawn from the Quran, the conflict in Ethiopia is not religious but ethnic, one Tigrayan activist using the alias Mustafa Habashi told AFP. The World Health Organization donated 2 million nucleic acid extraction tests to Iran's Ministry of Health and Medical Education in response to the COVID-19 crisis. The 60-ton shipment funded by Germany landed at Tehran's Imam Khomeini International Airport early Friday. It will be distributed to public medical labs across the country. The kits are used in diagnostic devices. They can extract genomic nucleic acid DNA and RNA of bacteria, viruses, and parasites for PCR-based detection from a wide variety of samples. Extraction kits used in automated devices have higher accuracy and speed in sample analysis and deliver higher quality final COVID testing results. Indonesian security officials have conceded to international and local pressure and allowed local fishermen to help a boat carrying 120 Rohingya refugees. The vessel was stranded in the waters off the coast of Beirun Agency in the northern Aceh province. Security forces prevented locals from helping the refugees come ashore, a local community leader and human rights activist said on Monday. An Indonesian legal aid group told Benar News fishermen feared that they would be prosecuted if they helped the Rohingya. Meanwhile, Amnesty International was urging the government to allow the boat to land. The earlier plan by authorities in Aceh was to send the refugees to Malaysia. This angered locals, so they organized a protest demanding authorities to allow Rohingya to disembark. They must be treated with kindness as human beings, a local resident, Wahyuddin, told AFP. Badruddin Yunus, a fishing community leader, told Aceh News that among the 120 refugees were 51 children, 9 adult men, and 60 women. Catalan police intercepted a group of 20 Afghan men in a shipping container on Tuesday. The container had arrived at the port of Tarragona and was being delivered to another city in Spain. Local authorities in the town of Alcover, Catalonia, confirmed that the men were in good health and were being given food and water when discovered. Catalan police told local media that the shipping container carrying the migrants was sent from Turkey to the Mediterranean port of Tarragona. Catalan police transferred the case to Spain's National Police Force, who are investigating the ship that carried the container. Last March, Turkish authorities found 55 migrants from Iraq in the 2 shipping containers at a port in Turkey's Izmir province who were bound for Italy. Kazakhstan is becoming a major energy destination for China and the West. At a recent meeting between Kazakhstan's Prime Minister Askar Mamin and his Russian counterpart Mikhail Mishustin, both countries signed a memorandum of understanding. This is to pursue construction of energy corridors to China and Europe and to establish production and sales infrastructure to facilitate selling compressed natural gas, or CNG. Both countries are also jointly pursuing the prospects of construction of high-speed highways to bring technological innovation and economic development to the regions connecting Europe with China. The energy ministries of Russia and Kazakhstan want to promote the CNG fuel market and create a network of gas filling infrastructure on international routes over the coming years. Islamophobia in Europe has worsened, if not reached a tipping point, according to a new report released on Wednesday. The 886-page document is titled European Islamophobia Report 2020. It was co-edited by Enes Bayrakli, an international relations professor at Istanbul's Turkish-German University, and Farid Hafiz, a political scientist from Georgetown University's Bridge Initiative. The front cover of this year's edition of the annual report features French President Emmanuel Macron. Bayrakli and Hafiz said Macron is a politician who they said is widely regarded as representing a centrist and mainstream political movement. However, they added that this shows that the center has become more extreme in relation to Islamophobia. They said French and Austrian Muslims have been left in the hands of brutal state violence that has been legitimized in the name of counter-terrorism laws. The author also said that the closure of France's watchdog group, Collective Against Islamophobia in France, also sets an example of how far state Islamophobia has developed. A Toronto surgeon has developed a prototype to help patients perform better inside operating room. General surgeon Dr. Amin Madani's prototype uses artificial intelligence to mimic some of the greatest minds, including those of highly skilled surgeons. The device can identify which organs are safe to operate on in real time. Despite its early stages, Madani says the device is critical to improving operating circumstances for low-income countries that lack skilled surgeons. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back. What a year 2021 has been. Many major events took place. Let's analyze a few with Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid, who's the executive producer of Muslim News.
Salam, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I am doing well on this chilly day in Washington, D.C. I wanted to let's first talk about COVID-19. With the surge of the Omicron variant, are we headed back into a lockdown?
Oh, definitely not. I think this particular mutant is somewhat kind. While we have achieved we have doubled the past record of infection, consistently hospitalization and death rate is down. So this mutant seems to be fast spreading, but kind. But the issue is what Dr. Ali Mukhtar told me the other day. He's the professor who leads the projection. He was very sad and depressed that we have all the vaccination available, except people are refusing. And his own cousin in Lebanon has died because he has no vaccination available. So I am with the World Health Organization's position that you cannot boost your way out of this virus unless everyone around the world has achieved vaccination.
Okay, let's move on to the White House. So the January 6th Capitol riots took place this year. It's almost going to be in a week, 1 year since that has occurred. It was an attack on our democracy. What has transpired in the year, and does it give you hope or does it leave you worried?
Well, I'd like to have the type of food being demanded by those prisoners. They want to have organic food. They want to have this type and that type. I mean, I cannot afford to have. So I think America is not treating these criminals as terrorists as they ought to be treated. As a result, there will be more people who will be encouraged to do similar things. And that's my prime concern. Just imagine if these people were Muslims, what America will be doing right now.
Well, speaking of Washington, D.C., and what has occurred here in this past year, what is your take on President Biden's performance so far?
I think President Biden does not deliver the nice speeches which we love about President Obama. But he has done much more than President Obama's first year, in my view. And that's the reason all the progressives who were campaigning against him are happy with him. Well, but the COVID might take him down. So my hope is that he's able to do better than what he has done. But he has, just 1 year before the Congress most likely changes hands unless some miracle happens. Miracles are possible, right? We believe in them.
So could you highlight some of his achievements that you've covered on Muslim News?
Well, he has been very good in terms of taking care of the poor people. Largest number of people in America were lifted out of poverty. Parents realize that because of that assistance which parents were receiving, one parent can take care of children. Well, right-wing people are concerned about white people are going down. Here's President Biden, who has sent more white people and black people and every shade in between to bedrooms. He has been helpful for America and American families and parents. So for the poor people, he has done quite a bit. And his help for businesses have allowed businesses to stay afloat. I would say that for this not-for-profit organization, what he has done has been of extraordinary help.
Let's move overseas. In August, we saw the United States 20-year-old war come to an end. And we saw this amazing overnight takeover in Afghanistan by the Taliban. I'd love to get your analysis on that.
Well, I normally support dialogue and conversation and peace negotiations. But America was in dialogue with Taliban from 2013. That's a long dialogue. We provided them offices in Qatar, which has the largest American base. So we have been working with Taliban for the longest period of time. So we should have known them better. We should have performed better. And we should have also kept those people who we installed in Kabul as a puppet regime better informed. So I agree with the opinion different scholars have, and I think the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, also has, that when America was in a strong position, when it has more than 100,000 troops in Afghanistan, that was the time to compromise with strength. Instead of what America did was it signed up a sort of a withdrawal statement from Afghanistan. So everybody knew they are going. So who wants to listen to the puppet government? And everything fell apart. That tells us two things. Taliban were grounded in Afghan people. That's why they were able to negotiate their way. Not many people died as Taliban were moving forward to Kabul. Not many people died. They will just negotiate their way in. And whom they were negotiating? The term comes, they were negotiating with elders. Elders is an old Afghan format. They call them mashar in their language. The older people, the honorable people, village elders, they just negotiated with them that, hey, we want peace, you want peace, just open up instead of fighting. So the people we have given trillions of dollars and trained to the level we have trained Afghan army, just disseminated, because whatever America did in 20 years was not grounded in Afghanistan realities. And that's why, so I'm very sad for the people who were trying to get out of that country thinking America will save them. Well, not very far from our studio in Chicago, there are 75 kids in one shelter, which is like a prisoner shelter. And many of those kids have tried to commit suicide, and some of them want to go back. So I wish it was in Biden control to negotiate properly, but the negotiate in chief, President Trump, messed it up.
Well, Biden's been good to American families, but what about to Afghan families? How about letting the releasing of that money so the Afghan economy can go back to being a functional country?
Well, that's the issue. Americans went to Afghanistan to take revenge. America, unfortunately, is still taking revenge by holding $10 billion of Afghan money. Who is it hurting? Who is it hurting? That's my question. The people who America hired and trained, the bureaucracy of the puppet regime, they were the one who were dependent on the salary. Same people who Taliban don't care much about. They are the people whose salary is being denied. As far as the Afghans in rural areas are concerned, Afghanistan economy is not a regulated economy. It's an economy which people call it black market or the free market, or they call it out of official economy. So unofficial economy of Afghanistan is far bigger. So rural people, poor people, are living poor. They were not dependent on salary from America, but by blocking $10 billion, America is hurting the same people who actually they recruited to help the puppet regime. So it's a very sad situation. But I would also add, Hena, where are American Muslims? Why American Muslims are not standing up while America knows there is a starvation? United Nations is saying there is going to be starvation. Organization of Islamic Cooperation is saying there is going to be starvation. And people in Pakistan, poor themselves, are collecting money and sending to Afghanistan, and we are the one blocking it. Where is the American Muslim voice to release the money of Afghanistan back to Afghanistan? Holding money is not going to allow Taliban to ideologically change their religious perspective about what's the role of women in the society. But women are the one who suffered for 20 years of war. Women are suffering now while we hold back that money.
Let's move on to Palestine. This year saw attacks on the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, evictions, and overall Palestine has been under attack. What were the major highlights of the year for you in regards to Palestine?
I think the best thing which has happened to Palestine, which is the occupied Palestine, is the B'Tselem and Human Rights Watch declaring that what is going on is apartheid. And that voice need to be continuously heard. I know Desmond Tutu has passed away. He has been saying that for a long period of time. He knows what apartheid means. And he said, this is apartheid. So people have been saying, President Carter said, peace, not apartheid. So it is because of the apartheid, these people who are living there in Sheikh Jarrah, who themselves are refugees, they had other places, they moved to this area because it was not under the Israeli occupation. Now comes the Israeli occupation and these people want to get rid of these people. And individual Jews inserting themselves in the homes of Palestinians living there and saying, this is my property. Where in the world, what logic is that? And that is where the apartheid label which is for far more it was overdue for far long, has come into being. But those families are resisting. Those families are not leaving. They are not accepting the compromises. And that's why every day or other day, either Israel is killing some Palestinians or some Palestinians are attacking Israeli forces. This is continuing.
I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the fact that the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act was passed this year. And what else has been in store for the Uyghur movement, the freeing and saving the Uyghurs?
Uyghur struggle is as old as the Palestinian struggle for freedom or Kashmiri struggle for freedom. Unfortunately, that is not quite recognized. It is taken as a small human rights issue, and we keep doing. So I'm very thankful to Justice for All Save Uyghur campaign that they have been lobbying and contacting and putting pressure, have delivered 52,000 phone calls. But America has been open and listening and accepting and willing to take action. But Chinese just dismiss whatever America does because China is communist, America is capitalist. But where are the people in the middle? And these people are Muslim people. They are taking it as a geostrategic conflict between America and China. It should be taken as an issue of freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of rights of self-determination, freedom of the media, freedom to worship God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which Arabs have, which Pakistanis have, which African Muslims have, and Muslims in America have. Is it too much to ask Muslim world to be principled? Yes, geostrategic consideration are important, but consideration of responsibility in the eyes of Lord Almighty is more important.
And let's finally talk about George Floyd and the Black Lives Movement in the United States and how it spread and inspired people around the world.
The world wanted a systemic change in America. What we got is a symbolic change. Yes, there are cases of George Floyd and some cases have been punished and it's welcome. But how many lives did it take? How much demonstrations did it take? So I consider whatever has been done is symbolic. What is being done systemic is actually a reverse gear that so many of Republican states have passed laws after laws saying limiting the voting rights, making it difficult to vote. Who will it hurt? Latinos, Black people, brown people, and poor white people, and every shade in the middle. So unfortunately, because of the divided one or two senators not coming along with the Democrats, voting rights are the mother of all rights in our country. I would say that Black Lives Matter still matters, and struggle must continue. And the first right which we must preserve is the voting right. If that rights are not there, and terrorists of the January 6th are handled with the soft gloves, America is heading in the wrong direction.
Thank you so much for your time and for being with us here today.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Thank you so much. That's all from our Washington studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.